Hello, everyone. So, it's just another vlog. It's March 12th, 2026. I just had a gross / irritating peer support call. So in my city, there's a peer support line where someone will call you and they can just talk. You can just talk to someone. It's kind of like a service. And the lady called me, and I just had this gross feeling from the whole thing, and it was irritating too. Um, so I told her like, don't I don't want to continue. I don't want to talk anymore. But she said that if it's not a good fit, we have other people you can talk to. And I said, do you have any guys? Like, do you have any males or men that I could talk to? And she said, yeah, there is one. So she's gonna forward my name, and I would appreciate that because, I mean, it's like impossible to talk to women. They're it's like literally it's almost impossible. Like, um, it's like trying to fly a plane. It's like you're flying. You're talking about flying a plane to get somewhere, and they're talking about driving a car to get there, like through a city and stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you can't get anywhere. It's completely like impossible. But I mean, they just have different values or something. I don't know. They just work differently. But it's annoying though. Like, honestly, it's annoying. And uh, but yeah, this lady. So she was really weird. And she wasn't really asking any questions either. She was just kind of saying like, if you want, like, we could talk about anything if you want. And but she kept rambling on, and she's like describing the service and everything, and it kind of felt like I was like talking to an AI in a sense, like, but like not a very good one. I'm not trying to be super mean, but some people, they just kind of like act like an AI, sort of. Um, but like, it doesn't really feel like you're talking to someone that much sometimes, you know? Like, there's not that like direct like conversation where it feels like it's like fitting together, you know? Kind of. I don't really know how to describe that very well. But then I said to her, oh, she said to me like, could you tell me about yourself if you want? And I was like, oh, okay, sure. I wrote something down, and I actually had written down my life story, kind of like in my diary the other night. Because for me, that's a tough thing. Like, I kind of have an issue with that, with identity, with everything like around that, just because of all the stuff I went through and everything. It messes with that if you get traumatized and all of that. It messes with your identity. So I was journaling, and I wrote a bunch of stuff down, and I thought, well, okay, well, I'll read this. And I told her, hold on, I wrote something down. And so I read it, and actually, I should grab that right now and read it here. Um, so I will grab that right now. And I read that to her, and it was kind of a good thing, like, because it gave me a chance to actually rehearse it. You know what I mean? To somebody, which I've never really done, even to like therapists and stuff. And I think that's a huge failing on therapists' part. And honestly, is that they don't even like ask anybody like who they are, or like about their life or something. And that's like the most like basic thing, you know. But a lot of therapists like want to like skip that. But okay, so anyway, I'll read that now. Um Sorry, I'm just pulling it up. Okay, here it is. Okay. So, my name is Sean. And I'm a Orthodox Christian catechumen. I'm 30. I feel crazy. I just don't tell that to people. I've gone through a lot of trauma growing up and had 4 or 5 concussions. And I did a lot of alcohol and drugs in my late teens and 20s and into my late 20s, which has fried or impaired my brain significantly. At least I feel like it has. But again, I don't tell people this typically. I used a lot of porn, did a lot of masturbation, and had a sex addiction for about 25 years, from age 5 to age 30, and I still somewhat struggle with it, but the sex part obviously came later. And I spent a lot of my free time playing video games. I had over 6,200 hours on Dota 2. And also played a lot of StarCraft. I played a lot of Diablo 2. Played a lot of Call of Duty. And I spent a lot of time watching YouTube. Using pornography, obviously, like I said. I used to use Reddit, but I stopped using that. And now... Oh, and I used to do a lot of, sexting with different women online. And, again, I'm stopped doing that. Stopped spending all my time doing that. And then I did technical school after high school. I got a job building aircraft for almost 2.5 years. I didn't like it, and I was sick often. And I got an opportunity to go to university that it was paid for by my First Nations band. And then I took a psychology degree, and I completed an undergraduate psych honors degree. It took me 5 years, and I graduated at 27. And despite having my school paid for, and I even had a living allowance given to me, I still took out student loans anyway, and spent the money on foolish things like a motorcycle, and I lost a lot of it on penny stocks during COVID when it went up and crashed. And then I even spent a lot of it on a marijuana grow operation when it was legal to grow it here in Canada. So it was just more kind of foolish things, wasted my money on. And after I graduated, I found a job at one place, but I didn't like it, and I got fired after 2 or 3 months. And the management there, the management women were really crazy there. And then I found a job in another province, and I got a job out there doing work, kind of like in the psychology field, but sort of related. It was more on the social work side, which I thought it was going to be more on the psychology side, but it really was a lot more on the social work side. And I moved out to the other province, and then my hopes and expectations were really high, but then I ended up having a terrible time, and I tried to power through it continually for about 13 months, and I ended up burning out, and I got very ill mentally, physically, emotionally, and I was really alone too, and I was also really struggling, also because of the drug use that I had done before, and I think that was really affecting me. And then I tried all the doctor's advice, and I went from being on no pills to they put me on five 5 different pills at once, like 2 antidepressants and 3 antipsychotics, and it was just a total mess. And it also didn't help because I was like, really trusting and relying and hoping that these doctors could help, and they weren't helping. And then I tried that, and also I did other therapies, including like EMDR, MBT, ketamine therapy. I even tried Reiki, and I tried like acupuncture, craniosacral massage, and I even went to someone who called themselves a light worker. And the level of help from each of these really was variable, but a lot of them didn't really help. And sometimes it was short term, would get a little bit of short term relief, but wouldn't last. And then I ended up going off work from that job to short term disability and then long term disability. And I got a diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder. And then I left that place in BC, or yeah, it was in BC, and I came back here to my home province at age 30, which I am now. And then so when I got back, like last summer, I was really low functioning and isolated, like very isolated. But I would try and keep a routine and go to the gym and eat as close to like a keto diet as I could. I ended up getting off all the pills. I was experimenting with different supplements to see what would actually have any benefit. Some did. I had a cat that I got from the other province, and he's like 2.5 now. And online, from YouTube videos, I found good reasons to convert from the Roman Catholic Church to the Eastern Orthodox Church from watching Jay Dyer. And I found a church to go to. I've been going there for 3-ish months, maybe 4. And I've started a Bible study with some of the people there. Been doing that for about a month and a half. And I deleted like the dating apps, although I still struggle with that, like wanting to go back on them and everything. And I still struggle with the urges for the porn and masturbation, although I'm mostly, able to not do that, thanks be to God. And then I've been talking with this girl for like 3 weeks or maybe a month now, but it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. She's in the States. And honestly, I'm kind of waiting for it to end now, but yeah, it's kind of weird what's going on with that. And then I go out and I try and talk to people about Jesus by evangelizing. I hold up a Jesus loves you sign. Sometimes done that like 4 or 5 times. I'm selling some of my stuff to give money to the poor. And I don't really know what I'm doing with my life, but I know I'm a Christian, and that takes a lot of my worry off, and it's comforting. And I have a daughter who I haven't seen, but that's because her mom either hates me or just doesn't want me in their lives, probably like both. So anyways, that's the entire like life story. Basically all of it or most of it for myself. And I shared that with this lady, and then she was just like she started talking about herself right after. She was saying that she has like schizoaffective, or was diagnosed with it as well. And then she like got defensive and started saying that pills work for her. And like, I wasn't even really talking. She just like started talking and like started talking about herself and stuff. It's like, all right, well, I don't know. This was kind of weird. And so I just let her talk, and I didn't really say anything. And it was kind of like awkward and weird, but I wasn't being rude or anything, but I just said okay. And then she tried like closing out the conversation, but we'd only been on the phone for like almost 30 minutes, and she said that we could talk for like 45 minutes at the most. And I was like, hold on, why are you trying to like end the conversation. And so it was really kind of awkward. I told her that. I was like, it's kind of awkward, like, you're not really asking me anything, or like, it just felt like the conversation was not like going back and forth or anything. It was very weird. But so then she asked kind of like about my week, or like what's going on like lately. And I told her that I found a couple things that really help for me, which is this stuff with the frequency stuff, like this Schumann wave signal generator is this thing. And I told her about it, and I told her, like, this thing is really helping, and I'm just experimenting with it still because I've definitely noticed it makes me feel more calm, or helps me feel more calm, and more like my brain kind of flows and my ideas kind of flow, and they're not so like rusty gears turning and everything in my head. It's more like, things are kind of smoother when I have this thing on. And I told her about this, the Q-Link, which I just got. It's just like a little pendant, and it's SRT 3, so Sympathetic Resonance Technology 3. And it's just supposed to be another thing with like energy, like somehow balancing energy or changing the flow of energy or something like this. And I was saying just like how I noticed that these things really kind of have an effect on me. Like I can definitely feel more calm, more almost like more at ease a little bit. Like everything is still the same. I just kind of perceive it a little bit differently, and I'm not as afraid. And like when I go outside, I used to be so afraid just looking at people's faces. And I told this to the lady, I was like, just looking at people's faces was hard. Like, I was so irritated and everything. And so now when I go outside, it's like it's not as bad. I actually feel more like I can look at people and whatever, which is actually a really big deal for me. And so she was kind of just listening, and then I was like, yeah, well, it was nice talking to you, and have a good day, but I don't want to talk again. And so she said she could have another guy call me, and so I said, yeah, I'll try that. But yeah, so, and then I felt really gross after like the phone call. I felt like irritated and gross. So what I did was I just said a prayer, basically, and I prayed for her, and I prayed, just that I'd be like, I guess defended or protected or something from whatever it is that was so gross and irritating. But yeah. So these things, the Q-Link and this signal generator, they have a huge difference, and I'm not lying when I say that. Like, I'm not exaggerating either, because I have tried many, many, many things just to like improve just how I feel, like almost like to just feel normal in a sense. And with these things, I feel more close to normal than ever, which is really a huge deal, honestly. And my theory, or what I think is going on, is just that it's like I feel like it's restoring a more normal or natural, or the way things used to be, frequency. And frequencies, by the way, they're real. Like, I know it sounds weird and a lot of people don't understand it, but they do have an effect on us. You can look up the studies on EMF, electromagnetic frequencies. You can look up these different studies which show that they're decreasing people's dopamine. Like certain frequencies decrease dopamine, like Wi-Fi 2.4 gigahertz and this stuff. So, I mean, I think everybody knows that everything's kind of getting weirder, or people are not like acting the same, or there's something going on or whatever, but I mean, it's really tough, honestly, because kind of like, what is going on, what can I do, and so on and so forth. But this, I have found, actually has an effect and actually helps. So this morning I took I had this old pouch of athletic greens, or AG1, in it's like a vitamin and mineral powder, or greens powder, and I had it in my fridge, and it was like expired last July, so it's about 9 months old-ish, and I think that's 9 months, yeah, something like that. And then I took it, and it gave me such a sore stomach today, and I ran to the bathroom as well, and yeah. So then another thing that happened was, I'm still running the Bible study, and that went well last night. I'm just kind of like trying to keep it consistent and put it on, and I changed the time so that somebody could come who was supposed to be working and they didn't show up. So I guess I'm not like upset about it. I kind of understand, like, that person is going through a really hard time right now. He's going through like a separation with his wife, I think, which he was talking about. So, I just, yeah, I pray for him, but I thought kind of like nobody was going to show up, but then someone did show up, and I felt like it was like a good conversation, and I appreciated it, So yeah, but I've run it the other times, and sometimes I feel like I'm like off-putting. Like, I feel like I make other people uncomfortable, or I don't know what to say, or something. I just kind of like have that feeling about myself. But this was like before, when I was using these things, the frequency generator and the Q-Link, but and then there's also a lot of other things that are happening too, so it's not like all me, but it's still like not a good feeling. And but yeah, I feel like sometimes I was that way with other people, and the thing too is that it's hard, because when you try and like make something or put something on, I don't know, I just try and like stick to, because I want people to like have I guess you could say, like, it's hard to say good experience, but like have like I want it to be a worthwhile experience, like a pleasing experience to God and good for everybody involved, kind of thing. But yeah, sometimes people like they talk a lot, and they sometimes they like not overshare, but they share their own opinions on things, and I don't know, it's kind of tough. Like, sometimes I don't want to make people feel bad, I guess. I mean, it probably doesn't matter too much. I'm not going to try and like intentionally make people feel bad, but yeah, just I think it's important. That's why I'm always like trying to go back to the Bible and the scripture, because I feel like that's the thing we can all agree on. It's just faith. So anyway, and then yeah, but I just need to like acknowledge that I do think I'm pretty off-putting to be honest. Like, I don't want to be that way, but I kind of need to acknowledge it, I feel, because it's like, what can I do, it just, I can only do what I can do. So just acknowledge it, and then also got to move on with like a plan that I've made. So I've got a plan, and I wrote it out, and it's just like an evangelization and apologetics plan. So it's just something I want to try and do, which is like I have been doing, is like I go out and I try and, like I keep saying, evangelize, talk to people about Jesus. And then the other thing, and also I hold the sign up, and the other thing is that So that's one half, and then the other half would be of my plan is just to test my position rigorously, like try and challenge my own position, that is like the Orthodox Christianity position. I want to try and like test it and challenge it rigorously. So that's just getting prepared for things like all of the basic questions that people would have. If someone was to ask me like a basic question about like, well, how do you square Christianity with evolution, or how do you what about the people who live on an island like the North Sentinel Island that haven't had the gospel proclaimed to them? Although I think some guy actually tried to go there and he got killed to proclaim the gospel. They killed him or something. But it's like questions like that, like what if there's somebody on an island, or these types of questions. So I'll try and get like the answers to those and just kind of like have them written out and ready, sort of like apologetics. Apologetics means like defending the faith, I'm pretty sure that's what that means. And also like trying to understand debate and philosophy as well. That's a hard one really, because the domain of philosophy is huge, like it's so big. But I think there's like 7 major areas that I have to kind of look through. And I really don't think I'm going to get like an extremely in-depth understanding. I just kind of want to have at least a basic understanding of like philosophy basics, And also debate, like I think that's important to kind of learn a little bit about debate. Not like just so I can go out and try and debate people or try and like trap people, but more as like a defense, because again, a lot of people, they don't really, they're not like, there's some people that would have like really challenging things ready, or want to really go at it in a debate type of sense, or dunk on somebody like that, or get you with like a gotcha moment or whatever, is something they say online a lot. But yeah, I just think it's an important thing. And then yeah, I would say that most people are like really clueless, and I was too, and I still am largely, but I realize Christ is the way. So doing this stuff is important, I think. And also with politics and religion, you will lose like 90 to 95% of people just like really quickly. Like a lot of people don't care. They want to watch cat videos, they want to play video games, they want to look at the next interesting TikTok or whatever. But yeah, I think that I just have to keep sticking to the path, praying, and God will put people into my path or your path according to His plan, His will. And I need to have humility. I think humility is like the most important one. Like faith and humility, like they kind of go together, but humility is so important. And I need to pray for the gift of humility as well, right? So I'm going to be doing this for the next, I don't know how long. And it's kind of scary for me to commit, because I'm terrible at committing. But the way I think about it is like, I can like not commit to anything, but time still passes. So if it was like if I was 25, like if it was 5 years ago, and I was in this position and I felt this way, and I didn't commit, well, time still passed, and now 5 years later, I'm 30, and I'm still in the same position, and if I don't commit now, I'm 30, in 5 years, I could be in like the same position. So I kind of think of it that way, and it's like kind of obvious and a basic way to think, but it's really kind of true, like time will still pass. So I'd like to do this. Like I've been trying to do this since the beginning of the year, but I'm sort of more formalizing it and writing it into a routine, because routines really help me, honestly. Like knowing what I have to do every day and then just trying to do it, I really find that works best for me, because then I don't have to like reconsider and decide. It's just like I kind of do it, you know. Um, but yeah, just like a fun like little dream scenario. What I would like to do, and this is, you know, it might sound naive or it might be naive, but I'd like to like walk around with like a prayer book and, you know, speak to people, preach and pray. Like that would be like a good scenario. I know everybody thinks about like what could go wrong. I know I do that too, but honestly, that sounds really nice to me. You know what I mean? Like that sounds really nice. But yeah, obviously kind of a naive thing because there's real factors out there. There's, you know, crazy people. There's people with mental illness. There's people with demons. There's like evil forces. There's a lot of stuff going on that, you know, causes people to be afraid and everything. But I really feel like there's a lot of good people too. I mean, if you look at demographics, I think like at least 50% of people identify as Christian, and you know, and a lot of people are seeking as well. Like a lot of people have questions and they're seeking, but people, they just go online. Like nobody really talks to anybody in person, so I think it's a good idea to just try and see what happens. Go out and pray and try and do God's will, and that's about it. So yeah.